response to. My name is Hiba Fatma, and I'm running with CityCast for 2026. I'm currently going to be running as a senator for the College of Sciences and Liberal Arts, but I'm also the proposed Speaker of the Senate. To be very honest with you, I wasn't sure that I would be speaking today, but I'm very lucky that I did have the chance. One thing I would love to emphasize is that we really want our student government to reflect the needs of the student body. It has been a complaint across campus from multiple clubs and organizations that I have spoken to personally that they do not believe the student funds are being properly allocated. They feel as if there is favoritism going on. While I do understand that my opposition, someone did point out, do you know the difference between student life funding and student government funding? One major complaint I've been hearing on and on and on again is that they believe that the current USG administration does seem to have some biases towards certain groups. I understand that is a bold claim, and our job is not to eliminate these groups from receiving funding. We just want all clubs to receive equal funding, equal attention, equal opportunities, because these clubs are the backbone of what makes student life. They're the reason we have activities on campus. They're the reason that we find students coming to campus and enjoying being here. I've made so many friends, made so many wonderful people from these clubs that I know people from CityCast on and that I know people from one campus on. For us, this isn't about going against the opposition. For us, this is creating a better opportunity for everyone on campus. For anyone here that is unsure what to vote, all I can promise you is that we are willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that student life has more funding, has more opportunities, and you feel seen, heard, and have an opportunity to enjoy the same opportunities that everyone else on campus has, no matter what club you're part of. Thank you.
We're going to have our first independent network. Please come up and get your representatives. We will have 10 minutes to pen.
Hello, everybody. My name is. Hello, everybody. My name is S.A.M.E. I'm running for Network Board Rep, and a lot of my platform is really focused on the students' everyday lives. A lot of the times, as I'm a student here, one of the main things that concern me here at home is food, healthcare, and shelter. And I think that we have a responsibility as elected officials to allocate funding and resources and priorities for the students. For example, I was volunteering throughout the semester at the food pantry, and there's some things that I think that we focus on, like making cooking lessons and allowing more fresh fruits and produce for them. And I think I want to make that a priority as board rep. Another thing is that I am currently, I'm a little late, but I'm working on a town hall for single-payer healthcare with my team, and I think one of the things that we need to learn about, especially with the Medicaid cuts, is allowing students to focus on healthcare, focus on the fact that they need adequate healthcare in New York State, whether you are working here or whether you're living here, regardless of immigration status. I really want to focus on the students' everyday needs. As the network if I become NIPER board rep, I really want to make that a priority for shelter, for clothing, for food, for healthcare. I want to make that a priority for everyone, and also I want to make sure that we, as the elected officials of this campus, put their needs first. 14% of students of CUNY face homelessness every year, and we are privileged enough to do something about it. So we should do something about it, I guess. I don't really have much to say, but yeah, thank you.
Hi everybody. Hi everybody. My name is Nabila. I am running for NIPER board rep again this year. I'm the current board rep for this year, but I'm running for re-election. Just like a quick overview for those who don't know what NIPER is. NIPER is the grassroots organization on campus devoted to student activism, and we cover many different campaigns from higher ed to environmental justice to consumer protection, and there are many other campaigns as well that we can get to later. One thing that I want to keep prioritizing, that I have been prioritizing, is public health, as Moaz has said. Public health is a really big problem in this country, especially with recent cuts to funding. The fact that we even have health insurance to begin with, let's say hypothetically your, I don't know, house burns down, very dark scenario, very tragic, right? You call the fire department, they come over and they say, hey, we can't actually do anything about this, your address isn't in our network. That's crazy, right? But that's just the reality that so many Americans, and especially New Yorkers, have to face. People who rely on health insurance can't get health care because of things like this. And one thing that I've prioritized in my tenure as board rep, that I will continue to do so, is the New York Health Act. And that is an act that will basically introduce a single-payer healthcare system into New York State. So people don't have to worry about, for example, losing their job because their healthcare wouldn't be tied to their job. They would just get it from the taxes that they pay. We believe that people's taxes should serve them, right? Another thing is higher education. If you've ever taken the elevators here, or if you've ever tried taking an escalator and seeing that doesn't work, it's because of a lack of funding. And the New Deal for CUNY is a bill that NIPER has been trying to pass for years now, that would basically funnel millions of dollars into the CUNY system. And with all these problems with critical infrastructure, with classes being canceled due to lack of staff, with part-time professors having to take on other jobs just to put food on the table, prioritizing higher education funding would really help everybody. Yeah, those are just some of the things that I want to prioritize as a board rep, that I have been, that I will continue to do so. But yeah.
First quick, how much time do we have left on the clock?
Hold, please. 4 minutes.
4? Okay, great. All right, so first, hi everybody. My name is Derek Thomas. I'm a junior studying political science and international studies here at S.A.M.E College. I know a lot of you guys in the room. I have been in USG before for 2 years, served as a senator, then a student ombudsperson, was also a USS delegate, and was able to collate with different groups within CUNY. I was the chairperson of the Student Affairs Subcommittee in the CUNY-wide LGBTQ+ Council, which I both founded and chaired for 2 years, while also working here on campus and being a part of 2 media board organizations, where I currently am still. I'm running for NIPER board rep after currently being an intern since the fall semester in both higher education and consumer justice. A few things that I want to do for next year in terms is bringing on campus and expanding resources, such as bringing a campus closet to life, to actually have a space where students can be able to get access to clothing and resources without judgment, like how we do with the pantry. Again, expanding fresh food options with our pantry as well, and trying to work with administration, seeing how we can do that, as has been done in Bronx Community College, to where weekly they give fresh produce to students and work with local farms. Another thing that I would want to do is expand contraceptive access on campus. We currently, of course, do not have a nurse at the school, again. And again, with that, we do not have access to contraceptives. We technically do not need a nurse for that, as of course there are over-the-counter medications which are distributed on the regular at your local pharmacy. But if the college is a catalyst for social mobility, then why can't we do that, especially for students that are assigned female at birth, that are in need of this medication, of course. And definitely, I think the one thing has been a common trend for past board reps has been inactivity within the role over the past few years. And with me in this position, of course, and everything that I do, inactivity is not something that anybody has to worry about. So I hope to, of course, work on expanding NIPER with different groups and working with the student government more as something that we have not done within the past. And yeah, that's me.
How much time do we have?
Great.
Yeah.
I want to make one more final point. Everyone running here as board rep, we are all involved in our own projects, and we want to spread that sort of community advocacy forward. We want to make sure that when we do become board reps, and specifically I want to speak for myself here, that I want anyone who's an intern or anyone who's a volunteer, I want them to champion and lead their own events on campus. I want them to have initiative. I want them to realize that they're a student leader as well. I want to make sure that they can do any sort of food, insecurity research, housing research, public health research, because at the end of the day, this is one of the best schools for social mobility and one of the best schools for social change. And if we're not utilizing whether our name like the Harvard or the proletariat, then what are we doing here, you know? We gotta make sure that we can allow our students to become actors of change. That's it.
Yeah, I would like to add on to what Moaz is saying. I'm in total agreement with him here. This is something that I've also really wanted. This is something that I've really wanted out of the NIPER chapter that I've tried to push. You know, like if you've ever like been in class and someone from NIPER has come in and like talked about the organization, it's because we want you. We want you to come in and feel like you have a say. And you know, even if you don't know where to start, that's great. NIPER is a great place to start. If you don't know where to like learn more about, you know, student organizing, you know, like I've talked to so many students across campus, and they like a lot of the times they really don't know like what is the cause of their problems. They don't know how it works on a systemic level, and they aren't really sure if anything can change. But NIPER has been around since the 70s, and we've proved that we can pass bills, that we can pressure politicians into, you know, passing legislation that is beneficial for the New Yorker. And you know, that's something that starts with you guys, you know, each and every single one of you, even if you don't believe it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.
Hi guys. I know like most of you are in here, which I think is a fabulous thing. It's so great to see so many familiar faces running for student government and being involved. My name is Sydney, and I'm the current student ombudsperson here at City College. And I'll just give you guys a quick description on the things that I do, because a lot of people, it's a little up in the air for most people. I serve as an advocate for the student body and for USG, as well as a mediator for any conflicts that are going on. So that includes within USG, outside of USG, any students. For example, we've heard a lot about club funding today. So when that situation took its peak a few months ago, I spent a lot of time meeting with different club leaders and hearing what they had to say, what their complaints are, and what their proposed solutions were. And a few things that I think make me a good candidate is, outside of the fact that I feel like I've gotten a lot of practice in this past year, I feel very strong about going into this next year. Like I have a good head on my shoulders for the position, as I know what the job entails and what I'd like to do. But a few ways that I'm very involved on campus and in my community is by being a student ombudsperson, but also I tutor youth youth at a local Harlem school around here. I'm a mentor within my honors program, and I participate in anti-gun violence advocacy outside of here. So I'm very active in my own community and have very strong community engagement beliefs and ties, which is why I believe this role is really important. And my mission last year and this year in running has always been to be a fair advocate, to have real solutions in student-led leadership. Like I said, it's so great to see all of so many students involved. I believe that we as students, especially in college, should be using this time to, flex those real-life muscles. So solving problems for students who are complaining about club funding or who are housing insecure are all great ways to be involved in college. And how I look to this next year of hopefully you guys re-electing me as student ombudsperson is to see what we as students can really solve for ourselves and what issues on campus we can truly tackle. And I want to just echo the 9 paragraph again, like we as students should be involved within our communities and really engaged. And a few initiatives that I look forward to doing in this coming year if re-elected as student ombudsperson, so give me your vote, is to design an official feedback form. So this would be something that I would often speak with student life about, and our new interfaith chancellor who's in the back, Linda, having an official feedback form for students to be able to actually give feedback to not only like USG but administration as well. I think a lot of students, or at least what I've heard from students, and I saw this, that they have a really hard time sometimes reaching USG as well as administration. It can feel very far away, even if we know that it isn't literally that far away. Another thing I look forward to is hopefully working with the future VP of Student and Public Affairs on increasing transparency between our very, very large and diverse student body with student government. And yeah, that's me.
Hello everyone! So to get started, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your little snack and water break. To start off, my name is Casey. I'll be running as president for the One Campus Slate. I'm currently the executive vice president of student government. Before we go more into our little presentation and what we want to talk about, I want to give the chance to my amazing cabinet to introduce themselves as well as the senators. I'm going to start off with my amazing EVP here, Omar. Go ahead.
Hello everyone, my name is Omar Qureshi. I'm currently the VP of Finance for USG, and I'll be running as the EVP for the One Campus Slate.
Okay. If my cabinet could stand up so we can say hi to everyone. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Deborah Charlie and I'm running for Vice President of Student Affairs, and currently I am the Vice President of Student Affairs for Student Government.
Hello, my name is S.A.M.E. I'm currently a senator at large and I'm running for Vice President of Public Affairs.
I'm Lila Abdallah, I'm running for Vice President of Academic Affairs and I'm the current Vice President of Academic Affairs.
Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Ccnu-Usg, and I am currently a senator, and I will be running for the next vice president of finance. I really look forward to working with you guys, and I hope everything goes well.
Okay. And then if I can have my senators stand up. I know not everyone is here today, but whoever's here, I want you guys to say hello to the room, introduce yourselves. If you want to say a little something about yourself, please go ahead. We can start off with Alavi right here and make our way around the room.
Hello everyone, my name is Ahmed Alavi Khan Alavi. I'm currently Senator at Large at USG, and I'm going to be running as an engineering senator next semester.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming. You guys are showing and demonstrating commitment being in here to meeting Rita. My name is Julian Guerra. I am the current class senator, and I am proud to be rerunning to be your class senator. And I want to give the opportunity to let other senators speak on and introduce themselves to it.
Hello everyone, my name is Aisha Brown. I'm a current senator at large and I'm running to be.
I'm Rafi. I'm currently a senator at large and we're running as architecture senator. Happy to help you guys.
Hi, I'm Meher. I'm running as architectural senator and also proposed speaker of.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rafi. I am your current senator. Next semester, I will be running as your engineering senator for next semester. It's a pleasure to meet you all, and I hope I get to work as well next semester.
Before we go more into it, I want to give a shout shout out to the rest of our senators who are not here today, and also our current VP of Campus Affairs, and hopefully future VP of Campus Affairs, Shafiq, who wasn't able to join us today. As you guys can probably see, everyone currently on USG is staying in USG, either in their current position or moving up the ladder slowly. Before we go more into what we have accomplished this year, since a lot of the things that have been brought up have to do with funding and finances, I want to give the opportunity to our amazing current VP of Finance to address those things, since clearly some clarity is needed on both sides of the room on how the process actually works.
All right. Seems like I'm quite popular today, right? So there's a lot of misconception about the funding process at USG. I wanted to clear up some of the misconceptions. So number one, how USG funding works. Last year there was an initial budget as to how active clubs were, and they received a certain portion of funding depending on how active those clubs were. Now personally, I didn't see that as something that was as fair. Let's say a club was a new club and they thought that maybe they deserved the funding to increase their outreach. I said, let's remove initial funding altogether, and we have a $3,000 cap for the semester, and it's first come, first served. Now, I think that's the most fair option, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that it is the most fair option. Now, as to the timeline of how funding works, it's a little bit different. You guys request for funding, and I'm sure you guys know how the disbursement packets work, and a lot of the issues with the disbursement packets is the timeline. 6 weeks is what we would consider to be the deadline between the club funds, that you submit the club funding, and the time you have your event. Now, the reason the 6 weeks is so important is because it takes USG 1 week to meet with my committee. I have to meet with the finance committee every single week. Once we meet with our committee, we come to a decision based on the current disbursement packets, the paperwork, and all the necessary information. Depending on if that information is correct or not, we send an email back to the clubs depending on the things that need to be corrected within 3 days of getting a response. Now, once we send that email, and let's say you are accepted, right? Let's say that your funding is accepted. Automatically, that funding is now in the hands of Student Life and Procurement. After we accept as USG, let me reiterate, after USG accepts club funding, all club funding is now done through Student Life, SSC, Business Office, and Procurement. Right, so that's just one thing that I wanted to clarify. We can go in depth a little bit more in questions later on, but if Casey, you want to proceed with the rest of the presentation, you're more than welcome.
I also just wanted to point out that for the allocation of the budget that we currently have, the money that's allocated towards clubs, about 70% of the money has been used, so the remaining 25% has not been used. So if clubs want to continue requesting for them to make events, it's obviously something that we do approve. Like Omar explained, if there are any issues, they're not on USG's end. I just want to also point out that we do have a feedback form, and since there are so many concerns that we haven't heard about clearly, we do have a feedback form that people can fill out and let us know what these are, and we can address them. And we also have office hours if people show up to address these concerns. We'd be more than happy to give you guys an answer and help you fix them. Now to move more into more fun stuff that we've done this semester and initiatives that we've taken, I do want to start off with something that we're currently working on right now to not only show the impact of what USG does, but also to encourage you guys to also donate. So we're currently hosting a clothing and toy drive. The clothes are going to a church that helps people in need, obviously gives them food and clothing. And the toys, we're collaborating with the New York City Department of Education with the Title I Elementary School. This elementary school has students that are either in temporary housing or shelters. We will be going there donating toys. It's going to be an amazing event. It's going to be covered in the media, so be on the lookout for that. We're still accepting donations, so if you guys want to donate, I know 9 people are donating, please do. You can always reach out to us either personally, we're all very open to that, or our office hours that I previously mentioned. Something else that USG does, just to let everyone know kind of what the legacy USG events are, we have a blood drive that we host every semester. We're collaborators of that blood drive. It has been extremely successful. We collaborate with the New York Blood Center and hospitals in Harlem, which obviously helps a lot of people in need because there is currently a blood shortage going on. Something else, is there something that you want more?
Yeah, so one of the things that I wanted to do for next semester running for One Campus was that I wanted to create a referendum to increase overall club funding. Now, I know that there's a big issue with club funding overall. I've heard all your concerns. The reason we choose to have this referendum in place is to increase overall funding. What that would mean is every student who pays tuition with $5 would be towards club funding solely, and $1 would be towards USG funding. Now, I also see some of the concerns about stipends, and USG is essentially lining their own pockets, as people would like to say. First things first, stipends are not something that we do it's not something that we say that we deserve as USG. It's what we do, how do I say it? It's
a compensation.
Sorry. It's the compensation for the work that we do. Now, I know people say that getting rid of stipends at generals, whether that be cabinet stipends or senator stipends, people would say that would, increase club activity, but to be quite honest, we've only used less than 75% of club funds throughout this entire year, and that's with the increase of $10,000 that we gave at the beginning of the semester, of last semester, where we got pushback saying that there's too much money in stipends and too much money in overall events. Now, one thing that I did want to bring up was that people said that there was $15,000 used for the iftar, $8,000 for the Dynasty Gala. One thing I want to be clear with, it was the $10,000 that we used for the Grand Iftar. That's a $5,000 discrepancy. Just wanted to make that clear. All the documents are available online in the USG Drive, and it's available to everyone who wants to access that for number one. Number two, people are saying we want to bring a campus together. We want to have diversity. We want to have a campus that is, close-knit and tight and have strong bonds. The way we do that is through USG events. Especially with events that are this in high in demand. For example, the Grand Iftar sold out in, I think it was 2 minutes. 6 minutes. Sorry. So if an event that is selling out in 6 minutes seems that we shouldn't have the event in the first place, I feel like that's a discrepancy that you guys should consider about bridging that gap between students and USG in the first place. One way we try to bridge that gap is through these events, especially with the Dynasty Gala and the Grand Iftar, and any other events that you guys want to propose in the following year. And we do intend to keep these events the same for next year as well.
I also want to point out the amount of students that show up to USG events is not the same as the amount of students that show up to club events. We hope club events also host really large-scale events, but for an event such as the Dynasty Gala or the Grand Iftar, where we had 400 people show up and more than 300 people on the wait list, obviously a bigger budget is needed to be able to feed those people and allocate for whatever these students are expecting when they show up to these events. I know you guys talked a lot about diversity, which is something that we completely accept and something that we're really big advocates for, but what is diversity without unity? That is what our slate is kind of trying to prove. That is kind of our main slogan, bringing unity to everyone. One way that we can prove that, if you're I can talk more about it if there's time after I'm finished yapping away. The end of semester goal, our theme is a cultural fusion, so we're collaborating with different cultural clubs to bring different cultures together. There's going to be stations where everyone can bring something from their tradition to represent it. And is there something you want to point out about the cultural fusion? Give me like a quick
Yeah, so the cultural fusion, like everyone brought up, like bringing the community together is the perfect way how to bring all of CCNY together. We're bringing all cultures from all over the world, from everything that you want to see from CCNY is an end of semester goal. All the clubs are bringing together performances, fashion show, food, fun, dancing, music that will bring fun and excitement and a little bit of happiness and everything that we want together and experience together as CCNY.
Yeah. Now, before you guys wonder, why we're bringing up all these things that USG is doing in this election meeting, like I said before, everyone that's in this slate is either staying in their current position or moving to another position. So this is kind of a USG legacy slate. So to prove what we have been doing, obviously we do have to bring up these things because this is our experience. Kind of the main slogan, like we mentioned, had in the back. I'm saying this for the senators that show up every day. They show up to our meetings, they show up to our events, and they dedicate their time to not only organize them, but volunteer and serve to the community. I want to bring up all my cabinet who's a returning member. They were either senators or they're organizing these events in the past years and this year. So I really just want to give you guys a big round of applause, and obviously to Omar as well. There was obviously a lot of backlash with the finances, which it's really easy to judge when you don't understand how the process works. If you guys need clarity on how the process works, Omar is really open to doing that. We also have a video, a complete breakdown of how the budgeting works from the moment that you submit an event request and how it goes throughout student life. Omar has always been going above and beyond to get back to the students with whatever they need. So I really want to give, before I keep talking, like a huge round of applause to everyone that's here today that has been I'm getting signals that we're out of time. I just want to say we're really excited to bring all the diversity that we have on campus united together. One campus, that's why that's our name, because we are one campus and we all have to bring our community together, whether it's through events or different initiatives or giving back to the general public. If another state is running